Hello and welcome back to Bookish Bites. I am here with author C.Y. Marshall, better known as Charlotte.
Yes.
And we are going to be talking about her book today. It is an amazing book. It's a vampire story that normally I don't read vampire stories. I don't. I run from horror. I'm one of those chickens, and I run from horror. But I read the sample online and I was like, gotta get it.
Yes. Yes. Thank
So
you.
it's called The Rise of the Beast. Did I say that correctly? Rise of the Beast?
Yes. Rise at Beach. Yes.
Yes. So
Mhm.
welcome, Charlotte. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I am doing phenomenal. I'm glad to be here. I'm so thankful that you allowed me this space to talk about my book. So yeah, I'm great. And you?
I'm doing wonderful. I mean, that rise hot chocolate kind of knocked me out, but
Okay. Okay.
we're getting it together.
Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Right. So I decided to title this topic Losing Your Faith. So the
Mhm.
whole discussion is about, well, to be honest, sometimes we veer off track and it's okay because it's just
Mhm.
conversation.
Right.
But it's about
Mhm.
losing your faith. And the reason why I chose that is because it's Gamba, right?
Yes.
I said Gamba or Gamba.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I love this man. Um now it's crazy because this is somebody who basically lost their faith in God and
Mhm.
went the other side, went the other
Mhm.
direction.
Yes.
And but what I love was like the opening scene is like here's this man, he's praying. It starts out set in slavery.
Yes.
And I mean, even though he's a slave, he's happy he got his wife. Like his wife is just
Mhm.
he don't care like wherever they are as long as he has her, he's
Right.
good. And
Right.
what I learned, I'm only going to talk about what was in the sample. Like people could read it online for
Okay.
themselves. I don't want to give
Okay.
away too much.
Yes.
I don't know. We
Okay.
might talk about little bit of things, but I don't want to give away
Okay.
too,
A
too
little
much. You
teeny
know,
bit.
you little teeny, yeah, because
A little
it's
teeny
hard
bit.
not to.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and she's this beautiful, beautiful black woman, and she just seems like a sweet soul.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, he he just like what I love is like you did, it was very real. The way your world building skills are phenomenal.
Mhm. Oh, thank
And
you.
yes, because I felt like I was there. It felt hot,
Mhm.
clammy,
Yeah.
um you kind of always kind of feel a little bit dirty, grimy because
Mhm.
you work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I felt it.
Yes.
I smelled the armpit, you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, very good world building.
Thank
And
you.
she goes to he had okay, the first thing was Anthony. When Anthony he's praying and Anthony comes and he's like, oh, what are you praying for? And
Mhm.
he's like I love, like, he's just as angry as Anthony, but
Mhm.
he has a piece about him that he's not
Right.
gonna
Absolutely.
his faith is so much in God. It's beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
But just like in life, everybody gets tested.
Mhm.
So I talk about, like, my sister jokingly, one of my sisters, my other sister, she calls me Jobalina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because so she calls me Jobalina because I've gone through some things. I continue to go
Mhm.
through some things, and it's
Mhm.
like literally just praying and waiting for God to, help
Right.
me out.
Right.
you know,
Absolutely. Wait on his
but
direction.
I've been there when
Mhm.
I've lost almost everything, so I've
Mhm.
ended up, and because of my book, and because I wrote my book, I ended up losing like almost everything,
Wow.
and yeah, it was a whole Jobalina story. So ever since then I've been trying to recover, and it's been
Oh,
years,
wow.
so yeah, it's crazy. I'd write a book
Wow.
about it, but I don't have an end yet, so
Okay. Okay.
I'm waiting for that
Okay.
that victory dance I could do.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yes.
I related so much with Gamba.
Mhm.
he was okay with surviving in that situation, dealing
Right.
with what he had to deal with every day, as
Yes.
long as he had, Kanga,
Mhm. Kianga.
Kainga,
Yes.
Kianga, yeah.
Yes.
Just as long as he had her, he was fine. He
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
fine. Like they were
Mhm.
soulmates, you know.
Yes.
And then the what I, yeah, the slave master was slave mastering. Let's just put it that
Yep.
way,
Absolutely.
okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
he walked in on that, and that I
Yes.
was like, you know what?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's like I hate to say this, but I understand. Like in that point, that was his one
Absolutely.
straw. Yeah, that was
Yes.
his one straw,
Yes.
and I think he knew it was inevitable, but that was just his one straw. He didn't know what he would
Yeah.
do, and
Yeah.
yeah, so he picked the
Absolutely.
other side, and he becomes this vampire.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. But what's interesting is I'm on chapter 14.
Okay.
I don't want to give nothing away, but I don't even know if I should say this. I'm kind of sensing that Kainga is not exactly gone. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me.
He doesn't want her to be.
No,
Um,
he loves
and
her.
as you said, their love transcends decades,
Yeah,
centuries,
yeah,
death.
yeah.
Um, so he has not only been, just the head of his vampire dynasty and, ruling um, his particular
Mm-hmm.
dynasty and hoping to win the queen to their
Mm-hmm.
side, he
Yeah.
also continues to search for something
That
that
reminds
gives
him of
him a
her.
piece of her. Um,
Yeah.
and so he kind of goes through this journey of, um, in a sense, trying to find her. And he
Mm-hmm.
thinks he's found something as close to her as he as he can, but he finds out that he really doesn't.
Oh
So
wow.
she her aura is always with him. Um,
Yeah.
her spirit is
Oh.
always with him. Um, and he would love to have her back in the
Mm-hmm.
flesh. Uh, but
Yeah.
that's
And
yeah.
that was the thing. Like, I saw he talked about how he tried to bring her back many
Mhm.
times and it failed and he
Mhm.
couldn't understand how it failed. And I was
Mhm.
just like, that's
Mhm.
interesting. Like,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
so many
Mhm.
interesting things. And then
Mhm.
this Dante.
Yeah.
Okay. Dante makes me feel like this is why I don't go clubbing. This is why. This is why you
Dante.
when the street lights come on, I stay in the house. I'm still.
Absolutely. Yep. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, Gamba too, though. But Dante
Yeah.
is this. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh! And
Yeah.
I really like how you toyed with. It's like when the victim gets scared, how it changes. Like I guess like the taste of their blood, it becomes
Mhm.
more like
Mhm.
adds flavor, I guess.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
how so they toy with them to raise that fear so that
Mhm.
it's more it tastes. I was like, oh my gosh, because you could think about like um as growing up, I always said like don't be afraid when you see certain things because that
Right.
fear
Yeah.
can they like that fear. So
Yes.
when you see something it's not of this
Mhm.
world and
Mhm.
it that that like
Mhm.
not to
Mhm.
learn like train yourself not to
Mhm.
be afraid because
Mhm.
they feed off of that the
Right.
dark entities
Absolutely.
feed off of that, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Mhm.
I was like that I love you did your thing.
Oh well, thank you. Thank you.
I love
I've
this.
watched enough but I wanted, I mean, vampires have always um intrigued me
Hmm.
forever.
Oh wow.
Being a horror fan, I watched a lot of movies, a lot of horror movies, a lot of old black and white movies, and so vampires always had a persona about them, just that whole
Mhm.
immortality thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And so these characters, they accept and embrace that. Dante
Mhm.
is very I wanted to make him um
You good.
more of a Dante pretty much is strictly humans are just for pleasure purpose and
Food.
feeding
Yeah.
purpose. And
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it.
He's not really trying to coexist with
Mhm.
anybody. He
Yeah.
wants, the vampires pretty much he wants them to take their place and rule.
Mhm.
But Gamba
Mhm.
understands that yes, that is a purpose of them, but we also have to be able to coexist with them because that's how
Right.
we've been able to last as long, because we have been
Right.
able to coexist with them. And so Dante
Mhm.
is a hothead and they clash a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Dante has other motives in mind as well too.
Yeah. I'm starting to
So
see that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. One thing I was confused about. What happens to Anthony? Is Anthony because I
So
remember
Anthony is actually Dante. So during that
that's okay.
yeah, during the opening first couple of chapters where it's the flashback, that was
Mhm.
his name during that time. And the present time he
Oh,
is Dante. And now so
okay.
Gamba's
Okay.
name was the same, but during so Anthony
Yeah.
actually is Dante and it changes in
Because
the
I say
present time.
okay. Because I was like,
Yeah.
he kind of reminds me of Anthony. I was like, but I didn't
Yes.
hear Anthony's name anymore.
Yes.
I was listening on audio so and doing multitask.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I might have missed it.
That's what
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, he
Yeah,
act
that's what
like
that was.
Anthony. He had that Anthony
Yeah,
attitude. Yeah.
absolutely. High-headed attitude. Yeah,
Now,
that's
hot
him.
head, yep. And then like, okay, so when Gamba had turned Anthony, I remember like I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Mhm.
And what they did to them slave masters, I was like,
Yeah,
karma. I'm like,
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
it's karma.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, it was, because I kind of toyed back and forth with making the first book in the series strictly during that time period of
Mm-hmm.
slavery, pre-slavery, after slavery. Um, but I decided no, I'll have it the way I have it, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll move towards the current time, the present time. Then there are
Mm-hmm.
references, of course, throughout the book where there are flashbacks and things, but I
Yeah,
wanted the opening to really show the the dynamics of why Gamba became who he was,
right,
and
right.
you know the the horror in it for him as to why he
Mm,
became who he was, and so
yeah,
it showed that, and it served its purpose, and so that's why I went the
yeah,
way I went with the rest of the story.
yeah. It
Hmm.
was good. It was good. And like, like I said, it's so far I have not met an author's book on this show that I'm like, yeah, it's a good book, but it would be a terrible movie. I mean, like this is so well written. It's already playing as a movie. That's how I know like your world building skills are on point.
I would love to see that.
The other thing, the other thing is your dialogue. How you did your dialogue. Perfect. It's perfect.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
didn't use said and asked a ton of times.
Hmm.
You didn't use a lot of the common dialogue tags a lot. I
Hmm.
mean, you're actually only supposed to use said and asked, but I found when you use that too much, it just still sounds weird. So
Absolutely.
I try to reduce
Yes.
it as much. And you did
Hmm.
that, and I was just like, this girl, she on point.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
like as an author, you can't help but listen for certain things, and
Right.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I learned that, yeah. So I was like that,
Yeah.
and that's something that now that's another reason why I'm revamping my books because I learned that recently. So now I go back and I started revamping my books and trying to cut down on my dialogue tags.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
yeah. And
Mhm.
it actually I found that it makes your writing more creative because you
Mhm.
have to dig deeper to
Mhm.
really find a way to let the reader know who's talking
Mhm.
and you know continue the dialogue so it doesn't sound weird.
Right.
And
Right.
you pulled it off flawless.
Well, I'm so glad that I was able to do that.
Yes.
I'm a very big component in learning and studying your craft, and
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't always mean that you have to go to college for it.
No.
There are a plethora of books on how to write dialogue,
Yes.
how to write narrative,
Right.
words that you should and shouldn't use. Um,
Yes.
I was fortunate enough that I did go to college and majored in undergrad English and then my master's in creative writing.
Oh wow.
So I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And I chose to do that because I did want to be a better writer, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to write as effective as I could,
Mm-hmm.
knowing some of the intricacies that go into it. But once
Yeah.
again, that's not something that you have to do. You have YouTube, you have master classes, you have
Master
books.
classes are really
You
good.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, if you are serious about anything, whether that's writing or whatever, learn your craft.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you better.
It
It really
does.
does. And I see the difference in my writing, especially
Mhm.
since getting my master's. And when I forgot, I think I was writing the Lady Ice series. And
Oh, okay.
I saw the difference in my
Oh,
writing from what I learned. So, if anything that I can say to aspiring writers, seasoned writers, just continue to study.
just study. Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
continue to study and
Learn and
learn your
apply.
craft. Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what I
So
did. The another big help. That's what's also been teaching me because I'm in college now. Well, I'm going to be starting next week for working on film production.
oh
My film
great.
production
Good.
degree, yeah. And then I go into after that. I think then I'll be studying for uh, biochemistry.
Oh wow, wow, that's a big range.
I know, right? I was like, because they go together, okay?
Wow. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but for me, they go together in this way. The film production is for my writing passion, and that's
Okay.
really the main thing for me. And
Okay.
originally, I was only going to do film production, so film production, creative writing, all that stuff. I was going to do everything under
Mhm.
that umbrella.
Mhm.
But when I was finishing my last year getting my associates,
Mhm.
um, I started out taking business and
Okay.
then I had to switch over to general studies to take one math
Okay.
class.
Yeah.
I switched over to
Mhm.
general studies and I think I kind of got lost in the shuffle and I didn't know what to
Okay.
do. So I just continued picking classes. I ended up doing all my business classes and general studies classes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm starting I'm starting college this year as a junior in the university because I was at
Okay.
state college,
Well,
so or city college.
congratulations.
Yeah, so I was like, but
Awesome.
I had to do chemistry and biology, and so my
Oh,
background is my family's. I come from like a family like we they're West Indian, right? They're from Trinidad,
okay.
so in the islands they deal with a lot of herbs, so I know a
Mm,
lot
mhm.
about herbs, and I learned from
Mhm.
my aunts and my mom and stuff like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it kind of came to me naturally. It's kind of like a second
Yes.
passion.
Yes. Exactly.
So yeah,
Mhm.
so that I
Mhm.
want to know how these herbs work in the body because like growing up, okay, well, you got a cough or you have too much mucus, drink sage.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you drink the sage, it works, but I don't know why it works, and so
Okay.
now I want to, and when I started studying chemistry and breaking down the chemicals of things,
Mhm.
I was like,
Mhm.
I like this. This is
Mhm.
good. And then I,
Mhm.
I also
Mhm.
like biology. So I was like, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. And
I
that all
talked to my
plays into
professors and
writing
they're like,
too.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
that
Yeah, it does.
those herbs, that all plays
Yes,
as well.
it
Yes.
does. It does because I put
Mhm.
it in my last book that I published, Toxic, and that's
Mhm.
I put,
Mhm.
the main character, he owned a health food company,
Okay. See. Mhm.
a supplement company.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
I love it. It's fun. So that's how I say it goes together.
Yes,
For
absolutely,
me,
it
it does.
does. Absolutely, you can make
Yeah,
anything, work.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So with Gamba in the beginning, with losing his faith, so what was the thought process behind you writing that scene? Like, what were the emotions going through you? Did you have that in the background, like, no, no, don't do it? You write it anyway.
I know, right? You know how
Like
that
I would do.
happens.
Yeah.
You know how that
Don't
happens.
do it. Yeah, do it.
Exactly. Because once I sit down to the computer, I may have a blueprint, as you know,
Hmm.
but my characters drive the story,
Yes.
and I take their lead. Um,
Yes.
but I knew I wanted him to have an internal battle,
Yeah.
um, because I knew I needed a reason for him to want to denounce his faith. And
Right.
so, you would think, well, he was a slave. That should have been enough. He was a
Yeah.
slave, and he was, he was seeing his people being mistreated, dying around him, and everything that has happened during, to us during slavery. That should have been enough to
Yeah.
denounce his faith in God. But for him, it wasn't, because even in the midst of the trauma and all of the things that was happening bad to him, that was what kept him going, his faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, okay, so now what do we do?
Yeah.
His love, the love of his life. She was the muse that kept him going. And so when he lost her, it was
That
like,
was
okay,
it.
so now really truly what do I have? And
Yeah.
so I needed it to be something so horrific that he witnessed the violation of her. Um,
Yeah.
that took him, because like I said, he saw a lot on the plantation. He saw, people being, murdered, and with all the whole nine. We know what
Hmm.
slavery did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but not to his precious jewel, which was his wife,
Hmm.
you
Is
know.
what?
Um,
Yeah.
but even still, in the midst of what he saw and what he did, and while he was in that pit, he still was calling on God. He was
Yeah.
still calling on him to, okay, I don't know how, but fix this. I don't know what you can
Yeah.
do, but fix this.
Yeah.
Take me, take me
Hmm.
instead. Um,
Yeah.
and when he felt like it wasn't answered, it pretty much, he had pretty much in that moment already died. He just wasn't physically dead yet. And so,
Yeah.
you understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So for
Yeah.
him, it was like, okay, so I just need the physical death, because I'm already emotionally, mentally,
Hmm.
and
You
spiritually
checked out.
dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that was, it was like, okay, I'll accept it. And that's why he accepted the darkness.
Yeah. And see,
Mhm.
okay, so for me, what I saw in that also is like it's that silence. So I think about people who are praying, 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 and
Absolutely.
for them, all they're hearing is silence. They're not
Right.
hearing anything from God.
Yes.
And it broke my heart, you know? And
Yeah.
then it's like Satan takes that opportunity to start
Yes,
talking.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
yes. He takes the
Absolutely.
opportunity to start talking. And if because he knows you're at that point, this is his
Yes.
opportunity. And
Yes.
it's like either you accept the silence and you still hold on to God
Right.
and just have that faith which I
Right.
believe that's what God, that's speaking for God, but just I believe that's what God
Right.
is looking for, that undeniable faith, like no matter
Faith.
what,
Mhm.
when the absolute worst
Mhm.
happens to you, you still hold
Mhm.
on to your faith in God.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
so it's like that's that breaking point, that's that
Yeah.
point, you know.
Yes.
And I also reference the story of Job a lot because that's like if you look at Job, he went past that point. Like
Yes.
he just and
Absolutely.
he told his friends, "You think God is gonna only give good and not bad?" Like
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
it's like you got to have that Job mentality to get through
Yeah.
that. And if you don't have
Yes.
that, you're gonna
Mhm.
break. Satan's gonna get you.
Mhm.
And I was just like, this
Yes.
is such an eye opener, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that. It's such
Yeah.
eye, and I feel like a lot of people are going through that now. A
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely.
You know what else it kind of like triggered with me too? Also is Sonia Massey. How
Yeah.
she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Because
Yes.
she saw that demon in that man, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I know people will be like, "Well, God didn't stop the bullet. You know, God didn't stop him from doing what he did." But this
Mhm.
is what I look at. How many times have our people been shot and murdered, and they nothing happens? These cops get off.
Right. Mhm.
You know, and it's obvious what
Mhm.
happened, but they get off. Look how
Mhm.
fast they snatched him up. I said, that's God working. And I said, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be surprised if this makes a serious change because
Yes.
she called on God, you
Yes.
know, so and
Yes.
he shot her for it. So that man's
Yes.
life is ruined in so many levels. He doesn't even
Yes.
understand, you
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely.
So even
Absolutely.
though she's not here, that don't mean she
Mhm.
lost.
Right.
You know, she might have
Mhm.
lost the battle, but she won the war. So,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know,
Mhm. Mhm.
so she to me,
Absolutely.
she had faith to the bitter end, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and she didn't say anything that he had no reason to act like that. The only thing that acts like
Mm-mm.
that in that situation is a demon. So that I don't even see him as human,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he came in
Absolutely.
there
Absolutely.
looking
Mhm.
for a reason, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So yeah,
Mhm.
all these
Mhm.
things cross my mind because it's like at that point, it's like you can go left or you could go right.
Yeah.
It happens in a blink of an eye, you know,
Yes, it does. Yes,
a
it
blink of
does.
an eye. Yeah,
Yes, it
it was
does.
good. It was
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely yeah, and I love that it's on the virtual audio because it doesn't. Some people don't
Yeah,
like
that's
hearing AI
cool.
voices. Don't bother me.
Okay.
Unless it's really
Okay.
bad. Unless it's really really
Okay.
bad. Then I'm like, Lord Jesus.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm
Yeah,
glad to know that. Absolutely.
yeah. No, it
Yes.
doesn't bother
Yes.
me because well, I mean, you know, like most of my stuff I use AI voices, but I use they're human dub voices. So like they could take my voice and copy it to the AI. The AI will mimic my voice. It sounds scary. The
Oh
AI will
wow.
mimic my voice and then it could read my book. And it'll be like if I'm reading it.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
That's
And I get it.
amazing.
I get why that creeps people out. I'm a computer tech junkie. That's probably my third passion. I don't I
Wow.
love
Yes.
technology. Love it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
everybody's like freaked out over AI. I'm like, this is a tool. Now, with any
Yes,
tool, it
absolutely.
can be used good or bad.
Yep,
That's the thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like with
But it's a tool.
anything, it's how you use
Yeah.
it.
It's
Mhm.
how you use it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I'm using it the correct way and I'm loving it because I have it read my books and so I have like my books on audio, like my like hybrid. I call it hybrid, where it's so at the beginning, like in a printed copy of the book, in the beginning of the book, there's a QR code. You can scan it with your phone, and it's gonna take you to a video, and it's gonna play out scenes and read the book to you. So I had
Wow.
yeah. So my testers said that they liked it because some of them would read the chapter and then listen to the video. And then they realized sometimes they would miss things or vice versa, but like seeing it in video
Yeah.
and then hearing it read,
Right.
it gave it a different, you know. And then what's cool is the application that I use now has emphasis. So even though it's AI, now it's having emphasis in its voice. So it makes it even seem more.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was
Because
just
you
like,
want
this
the,
is
you want those
you
emphasis
want that.
areas, to
Yeah.
be emphasized. So that's
Yes.
pretty cool. And see,
Yeah.
I'm not really now. That's an area I'm not really knowledgeable in. The
Yeah.
whole, what you're
With the
talking about now.
yeah.
And so that would be really cool to learn more about because I mean AI is here, as much
Yes.
as people,
Yeah.
don't want it to be or, have their reservations about it or hate it,
Mhm.
whatever the case, it's here. So how do you utilize it to fit
Yes.
into your role to make it work for you? That's just pretty much what it is.
That's finished.
You know
Yeah,
what I
that
mean?
is.
Hmm.
That is. And
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing. I've been basically learning how to like a lot of like the book blurbs and instead of me, I say what I want to say. I throw up on this is what I wanted to say. These are the points I wanted to make. Give it to the AI and it makes it beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
edited and
Yes.
everything, you know?
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I use, like, but I would never use the AI to say, write my book, because now
Absolutely.
you're taking my passion away from me.
Yes.
God
Yes.
didn't put me here for a computer to write my book,
That's
so,
right. That's
but
right.
that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
Um, and
Absolutely.
nonfiction books, I could care less about a nonfiction book, honestly, unless
Mm-hmm.
it's my life
Mm-hmm.
story. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's like something on how to do something, I don't mind with the AI doing
Right.
it. But when it
Right.
comes to my stories, my life
Right.
story or fiction stories, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, hands off. That's my job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can
Absolutely.
help me edit it. That's about it.
Absolutely. Give me a little few pointers, but you're not writing
Yeah,
it.
you're not writing my book. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It is fun as long as you learn how to
Yeah.
use it and it's used properly, and then you're
Right.
just aware too. Because nowadays, I don't know if you know this, but like when you answer your phone to an unknown number, sometimes it's best not to say hello or whatever. Let that person
Ah,
talk first. Because they take your voice, and that I don't know. There's a few people who that one lady who got murdered, that the Uber driver who got murdered. Um, I think it happened in Florida. I'm not sure, but basically, the old man was being scammed, and the scammers had told him that somebody was I don't know if it was his daughter or somebody was in jail, and he needed to bring XYZ amount of money to get her out of
mm-hmm.
jail, and they were sending an Uber driver to pick him up. So he's thinking this Uber driver is a part of it. This poor woman is innocent, don't know nothing that's going on.
I think I
Very
heard
friendly
about that.
lady. Yeah, she
Yeah.
comes out,
Mm-hmm.
she comes out to pick him up, and he starts accusing her all kinds of stuff, and she's like confused, and she's trying to walk away. He shoots her, and he kills her.
Mm.
So now because of these scammers, and it's like because of these scammers, this woman lost her life,
Right.
and this man is sitting in prison. But my thing is, I still blame him because he should have asked
Mm-hmm.
questions, and you should have been so quick to
Mm-hmm.
come out there with a gun.
Right.
So I don't
Right.
give it. I don't. He's not completely off the hook for me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
I
Right.
understand you're being
Absolutely.
scammed. Yeah, I
Right.
understand you're being
Right.
scammed, but nobody was threatening your life, and they send an
Right.
Uber. So what? So what? I would have sat
Mm-hmm.
in my house and come out. The Uber
Mm-hmm.
driver would have left. You know.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So but I
Mm.
think that the scammers need to be found and put in prison for
Yes,
that. They should,
absolutely.
yeah, that was
Absolutely.
wrong. But I think
Yes.
they used AI to either get like like to because what they'll do, they'll have calls, and it'll sound like your daughter saying, "Mom, I need help. Can Mom, help me," and hang up, or "Mom, help
Mm.
me, I'm in jail." It sounds just like your daughter, just
Oh
like
my
your daughter.
goodness.
It'll sound like her when she's crying, like,
Oh my
so
goodness.
it's messing people up. Yeah,
Insane.
yeah,
That's insane.
insane. So those are the things you gotta be careful because it's a tool and
Right.
people use it for
Right.
bad things. So
Right. Right.
other than that,
Right.
I think it's
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So what
Mm-hmm.
do you have planned? So okay, which is this book a standalone? Is this a part of kind of like a series?
This is actually the first in a series of books. So
Okay.
this first book is pretty much introducing you to the players, if you will.
Mhm.
Um and their goal in this book is to pretty much get everyone, because there are two dynasties in the book. There's
Yeah.
Gamba's dynasty, and then there's Lizelle, the other vampire.
Mhm.
So originally they were all one dynasty, but they broke off because of some feuding and power struggle. So they pretty much broke off into two dynasties. And
Oh.
so these two dynasties pretty much are vying for the queen. And so
Mm.
whatever side wins the queen pretty much rules the underworld. They can make decisions about everything that happens
Wow.
via vampire business.
Yeah.
And so that is pretty much what this first book is kind of prepping you for. Who is the queen? How are they going to win her to their side? Just figuring out, all of those dynamics of how are we going to make this happen? So the
Yeah.
next book in the series is you will know who that queen is. And you
Okay.
pretty much kind of know it in book one. Of course, the character doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Yes, she doesn't
Oh, okay.
know, but you kind of um know at
Because
the
where
end,
I
closer to the end.
closer to the end. Okay, okay,
It
okay.
should be close. I believe it's closer to the end that there are some allusions to alluding to, excuse me, of who it could
Mhm.
be. But of course,
Mhm.
in the second book in the series, which is Rise of the Queen, you
Mhm.
will know who she is. And it's a whole lineage to her mother, and how this even came to pass. Like it was already written. They didn't even know. But it was
Oh,
already
wow.
written that she was supposed to be um the queen, and that, her mother, which is the police officer, the woman cop
Mm.
in the her. She has a very big role that she really doesn't understand yet, but she's starting to figure out
To put
some things.
together.
So yeah,
Savannah,
so
yeah.
it's a series. Yeah,
Okay. And I was like, okay, so at one point when I was reading, Savannah came in, and I'm always like, the writer in me is always looking ahead, like, because I do with my
hmm
daughter. We watch shows, and I'll say, I bet you a bag of chips, XYZ happens next. So we,
hmm hmm
because as a
hmm
writer writing so much, you start to know, okay, this is what
Girl, yes,
this is what it.
yes.
So sometimes I lose because sometimes they surprise me. I'm like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
I know, right?
But
And it's
when you,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. But when Savannah came into the scene, and I don't know why, I started like, oh my god, I hope you don't. Okay, so after Savannah had came into the scene, that's why there was a girl that Gamba had killed. And at first, I was like, "Please don't be Savannah. Please don't be Savannah." But when she said
Oh,
what was her name? Her name was Sasha. I think her name was Sasha. I was like, oh, "Okay, I'm sorry, Sasha, but okay."
yeah.
It's like, please don't be
And
Savannah.
Sasha, when we talked earlier about his 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 eternal love for Kianga,
Mm,
she reminds him of
yeah.
her.
Wow.
Um, but she is definitely not Kianga, and
Yeah.
she definitely does not have his best interests. And I'll just say that
Read. Oh,
if you
okay.
haven't
No, that's
gotten to
fine.
that,
That's
yeah,
fine. I'm about to
she
today.
definitely, yeah, she definitely doesn't have his best interest, and you'll see. So he,
Yeah, because
yeah,
she was doing when she came home, she did this whole. I was surprised. That was good. The way you wrote that out, I was like, "What?"
yeah,
The way
uh-huh,
you wrote that out. She goes and she does that. I guess goes like into like a secret closet or something, or
yes,
the
her
secret area of her
ceremonial
house.
altar, yeah,
I was like, "What?"
yeah, yeah,
I didn't see that one coming. I
yeah,
did not see
yeah,
that one coming.
yeah,
But there's a
yeah,
lot. This is what I love with independent authors is I think we don't have someone over us telling us how to write our story, how they
hmm
want it written, and then
right,
rejecting it if it's not written that way.
absolutely,
We are our own
absolutely,
boss, we
yes,
write what we see fit, and I think
yep,
that's a beautiful thing. And
yes,
I was actually told, probably have your uncle help you. I was actually told by a friend. She's in film production. She's actually in
mm.
the process of becoming a director right now, which is
Oh,
awesome.
good for
So
her.
good to
All
know.
right.
Good to know.
Okay. Okay.
And she would love it. She would love it. Like if we were to turn this into a movie, she would love it because, like she's saying, there's not enough black authors, black women authors, black film producers, women film producers, and there's not enough stories being told like yours, like mine.
Right.
Like where
Right.
it's not just it's not it goes beyond just urban fiction. It goes way
Absolutely.
there's fantasy. There's so
Absolutely.
many other genres. And she said
Absolutely.
there's not enough
Absolutely.
of us writing in these other genres.
Yes.
And I was like, I
Yes.
agree with you. I
Yes.
agree with you. We can
Absolutely.
talk about that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I said
And
I
that was
tried to
one of,
write urban fiction. I can't. I suck at
and
it.
I you know uh, because I've always been a fan of horror since I was
Yeah,
old
yeah.
enough to write a sentence.
Yeah.
that's what I always wanted to write. I originally wanted to be a screenwriter. I wanted to
Uh-huh.
write movies, and I wanted
Yes.
to write, horror movies. And so that's always been my favorite genre. And I find it sometimes so disheartening that I don't knock anyone's genre of writing and where they
Mhm.
feel the most comfortable and
No,
where
that's
they
because it's
feel like they're the best at. Would
Mhm.
never knock that, and I'm not even knocking that genre of literature. My thing is, like you said, there are so many other genres that we write in, and that was one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I founded the woman, the Black Women in Horror, Women of Darkness Facebook page, because I was like, I
Mm,
know there are other women that write
mhm.
horror,
Yeah.
because horror is such a broad genre. There's
Yeah.
so many subgenres under horror. Because
Yeah.
automatically, when people think of horror, automatically they think of monsters and ghouls and goblins and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's so much deeper than
It's
that,
deeper than that because there's
And
a
so,
psychological yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And so when I
Yeah.
founded the group on Facebook, I was really amazed and so blown away that all of the women that I connected with that are really like doing the thing. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, okay. And
Yeah.
so we need to also be a voice that, we writing some other stuff too. We
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
fantasy. We writing
Yeah.
paranormal romance. We're writing
Mhm.
psychological thrillers. We're writing all of those different forms of
Yeah.
literature. We're not just urban lit writers. You know,
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
we just have to embrace all of it.
All of
Because
it.
we're all at
That's
the end
what's
of the day writing stories that we want to tell. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I'm saying, like, why should I, there's someone else who's good at it that really captures it, that's really good at writing the, street lit. I said, that's
right.
not me. I'm not good at it.
Nope,
Like,
me
I'll
either.
try.
Mm-mm,
And
mm-mm.
like my friend was saying, it comes off sounding disingenuous when you try to write in
Right.
a genre that's not
Absolutely.
you. And I was like, you are so right. You were so
Absolutely.
right. Yeah. So that's why I was like,
Absolutely.
I can't do it.
Mhm, mhm,
So
mhm, and
yeah.
that's okay, and
Yep. Because it's
that's okay.
yeah, there's other urban fiction but I absolutely love. They were so well written, and it's like you feel like you're in the streets. You feel like you're
Mhm,
there with them. I was
mhm,
like, no, this, yeah,
mhm,
she got this.
mhm,
Why I need to do it?
mhm, mhm,
It's not my
mhm,
thing.
mhm,
So yeah, we
mhm.
all have our thing, and so
Yes,
that's a part of like why I'm doing like bookish bites. A lot of the things I'm doing, like I'm trying to bring discoverability, exposure. Like I feel like there's so many different talents that is not being
absolutely,
seen, so
absolutely.
I want to bring that to light, not just for black but also for natives too. They don't
Right,
There's only like
absolutely.
5 Native American owned bookstores in the
Wow.
US. Yeah, which
Oh
I thought was
wow,
crazy. Yeah, for for uh
wow.
for the black bookstores, the African American bookstores, I think it's just under 300. But which is
Insane.
insane. And I'm sure if you look, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be
Mhm,
a much
mhm,
bigger number. But
mhm.
I was like, that's really sad. And there's
It
so much
is.
talent in those two communities that are just
Yes, it
powerful,
is.
you know?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, though that's my mission is to bring it to
Yes,
light. So
yes, yes.
that yeah, I love it though. I love what I'm doing. I love writing, and
Yeah.
I love what
Yes.
we do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think it's just very it's a responsibility of us all in whatever facet that is to bring
Yeah,
light to other authors. Um and to just make that exposure, because that's
yeah,
really what it is. It's not
yeah,
lack of talent or anything, it's a lack of exposure. With
yeah.
this latest book that I have, I believe in all of my books. I believe all of my books are good.
Mhm,
I mean, that's just
mhm,
what I
mhm,
believe. um
mhm.
and with my latest book, it's doing okay, but I
Mhm.
know that it could do so much better. But it's the
Yeah.
exposure that goes around it. So platforms like this help
Mhm.
it to become more
Yeah.
exposed.
Yeah.
And so
It's
yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Like it just needs, that's all it needs, exposure. You just haven't found your audiences yet. Just like me, I haven't found my audience yet. There's still a lot of people who don't understand what I write. There's a lot
Okay.
of people even on my page don't even know I write. They don't even know that I have a book. I
Oh
know, right?
wow.
Yeah, I'm like, why are
Crazy.
you following me?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Like what?
Why are you
Wow.
following me? You don't even
Mm-hmm.
know that's my main thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had comments like, "Oh, I didn't know you wrote books." I was like,
Oh wow.
I'm like, okay, I
Like
suck at this because if you don't,
yeah, like what's going on here?
what's
See what
going on
I can do a
here?
little different. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm doing something
Mm-hmm.
very, very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it is
Yes,
just exposure.
it is.
The thing I love with urban fiction is like business, talking business wise, is
Mm-hmm.
their marketing strategies. I
Yes.
think their marketing is on point. I think they
Yes.
got this when it comes to marketing and pushing them books.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
got this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
that I love that, and
Yes.
I think that's why when people think of Black authors, they think of urban fiction because they marketed
Yeah.
it so well, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
us authors of horror and supernatural and paranormal,
Mm-hmm.
we need to take notes from our sisters and
Yeah.
brothers in urban
Yeah.
fiction and say,
True.
okay, apply, teach us,
Absolutely. Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
apply them
Absolutely.
strategies because that's they,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they did that right. They really did that
Mm-hmm.
right. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when it really hit me. It was years ago when um I was looking at an urban fiction book, and they had some of the reviews were from people from Europe, and they're like, "Oh, it needs a lot of editing, and because it was written how
Mm-hmm.
we would speak on the street, you know."
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, no, it's not. It doesn't need editing. It's edited
Mm-hmm.
correctly, you
Right,
know."
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
but then what
Mm-hmm.
got me, I'm like, she's all the way in England, and she bought this book and she read this, and it wasn't she wasn't the only one. It was a lot, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay, they reached international, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I said that's really good, even though, and then
Yeah.
some of them they got it, some didn't, some, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was. That's
Yeah, it
okay.
reached
That got marketing.
international. They
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know what the heck they
Mm-hmm.
was reading, but it reached it.
It reached it.
You reached it. You bought it. Now you figure
Yeah.
out if you figure out the rest, but you bought it and it reached
Yep.
that platform. So okay,
That
I'm good.
cover grabbed them, the title grabbed
Mm-hmm.
them, the
Yep. Mm-hmm.
synopsis grabbed them enough for them
Mm-hmm.
to buy it. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, interesting,
Absolutely.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and there's a lot of different ways we could look into that. There's a good and a bad side to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they could be just that's what they think of us. So that's just
That's true
confirming it.
too.
You know, that's the
Mm-hmm.
negative side. The positive side
Mm-hmm.
is that the marketing is so on point that
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't not like this. When I saw you, I could not buy
Right.
it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
borrow $3. I was gonna get that book.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's all these different
Absolutely.
ways to look at it, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I love your book.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying. So
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to how it plays out. Dante is
Yeah.
really pissing me off.
Yeah, Dante.
A a part of me gets it. A part of me gets him. I I, I kind of get him, but
Yeah.
for him,
He
he's not human anymore. So he don't care about
yeah,
humans.
he's not human anymore, but um I think, just everything. Um,
Mhm.
Even if we want to go back a few centuries when he was a slave, it's like, you know, in a sense,
He's a burn the
I
whole
paid
thing
my
down.
dues. Like,
Yeah,
it's really just he's just really more non he just doesn't care.
yeah,
He just doesn't care. But he's no, I was gonna say loyal, but he's not. Well,
yeah.
so let me just be quiet. But yeah, Dante is Dante. I'll just say that
Yeah.
Dante be Danteing. He be
Yeah.
Danteing. You know,
Yeah.
um, but he has to. He kind of reminds me of someone that doesn't really a lot of times think before you act.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
there are ways of doing things where you can really get what you want. And
He's
he's
just
like
impulsive.
a quick,
Yeah.
rare, exactly, very impulsive. And that's not always good.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it is because they're vampires. Sometimes you do have to be impulsive. Sometimes you
Mm.
do have to do things quickly, but sometimes you got to strategize things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just about no, I want this now. I want this now. So he,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He's a handful.
yeah, he's a handful. But I would actually, I would love to see this book series. I can see it as a movie or series. I know when we talk vampires, I mean, I think we've had some black vampires in series. I think, um, but most of
Trying to
our
think.
series are white vampires, aren't they? Like your Twilight
Yeah,
and
the only good black vampire was the one with Wesley Snipes, I think.
Blade.
Blade. That's
Blade.
it.
Yeah,
When you
Blade
think
is
about it,
good.
like I mean, the Eddie Murphy one was just comedy.
Yeah,
Not
Vampire in
really.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was his comedy. But Blade, the reason why I say that because okay, so Vampire in Brooklyn, when I was little and it came out, it seemed kind of scary to me. But when I got
Mm-hmm.
older, I'm like, this is a joke. This is just funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, like,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
Blade is still Blade. The way I saw it the first time, and if I was to sit down and watch it again today, it's still the same. That to me makes it classic.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
only really good black vampire story that I
Right.
could think. Oh
Right.
well, the other one too was the one that Aaliyah, when she was a queen,
Queen of the Dam,
Queen of the Damned.
which was
That
an
was
Anne
a good
Rice.
movie.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah,
an Anne Rice. That was from the Anne Rice
yeah,
story,
yeah,
Interview with the Vampire, and she was
yeah,
from Queen Akasha.
yes,
So
yes,
she was from that. I
yeah.
when I
She wasn't
create
the main thing, but
no, it
yeah,
was actually the stat
yes,
that was
that
the
was it. Yeah,
the
yeah,
main character, and she was just yeah. But
yeah,
yeah, I would love to see it on the big screen because it's not, it's a group of elite vampires in the sense that um they all have something uh going on that makes them powerful and rich. Like if you look at
right.
Gamba, owns several nightclubs and
Yeah,
properties, and Lizelle is a
and
kind of like a
they've been there for
fashion
long.
mogul. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
I
like
can feel
that.
it.
It's that eliteness to it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Even in Dante's ruggedness,
Mhm.
um
Got swag.
he's still, yeah,
Yeah.
so I would love to see it. I think it would. I think it would do well. I would love to see it.
My
So if your
friend was
girlfriend ever wanna,
yeah,
if you
Nakia, and so
ever
her name was
wanna,
Nakia. Yeah, I would tell her
what's
that,
her
yeah,
name?
I would probably keep her for Nakia Ford. Maybe she's on my Facebook.
That name. So why does that name familiar?
You might have seen her on my Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
But she does, yeah. I met her in when I was living in Florida. I was living in Orlando. She was going to Full Sail,
Mm,
the in a Full Sail college, and she was
absolutely.
taking film.
Yes.
And I was talking to her about endurance, so we were talking about
Okay.
that. I've been bugging
Okay.
her with movie ideas for a minute
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so now she's working and actually become a director on her own.
Good for
So
her.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I was like,
good
girl, we
for
gotta do
her.
some movies. Cause she
Yeah,
said
man.
now
That's
this is what she
wonderful.
told me about okay, so your book, right? This is what she told me, which made me rethink because I said, oh yeah, I want to be a movie, I wanted to be a movie. She said you might not want to be a movie, you might want it to be a series. The
Mm-hmm.
reason is she goes certain books when they're like like I'm pretty sure she would tell you your world building skills are on point also.
Mhm.
And she said that when you have a book like that, it's well written. There's so much in it, and it just it gets so it's full, right? That's how I see
Mhm.
it. I
Mhm.
see it as full. You didn't
Mhm.
leave the story. You didn't leave any bits and pieces of the story on the
Mhm.
table. It doesn't seem like
Mhm.
that to me. It seems like you brought the whole thing.
Okay.
So it's better in a series where you could come home
Yeah.
and watch our, different where you could take the time
Mhm.
to really tell the story. Because she said
Mhm.
in a movie, she goes, all that detail, you're gonna lose all of it in a 2 hour movie.
Absolutely.
There's so much you have
Absolutely.
to cut out. So I was
Absolutely.
like, you know what? I said, I never looked at it that way. I never
Yeah.
looked at it that way. And
Yeah.
she said, yeah, she goes, things like that would do better in a series. So
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
a movie would probably be better, like those short little books. Like I have like some short little standalones.
Mhm.
Those would probably be good for a movie, but
Mhm.
something like
Mhm.
like what you did, Rise of the Beast, that would
Mhm.
be a really good. Girl, I can see it on Netflix. I can see it on Hulu. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because script writing is very precise, and you cannot uh be long winded
you're
with
right. Long
things
way
like
of it. Yeah,
your script. It's pretty
has to
much like
be
she
that.
said, some details have to be omitted, so you really want to get the juice of everything in pretty
Right.
much 120-page script. Because part of my master's program for creative writing, I took a script writing class as well,
Mm,
screenwriting.
mm, mm-hmm.
And it was difficult because I like to go
To
get deep
tell.
into the story. I like just write
Yeah,
with no
yeah,
restrictions, with no time limits, with no page limit. I just like
yeah.
to write. I mean, I don't think I
Tell the
could do
story.
like a 1,000 page or more like my man Stephen King. I don't see how he
Oh,
do it. I don't see how he
jeez.
writes that many pages. But I like the freedom of that. And
Yeah.
so script writing is a little more. It's much different.
So you have to
Um,
cut down all that excess
you got to cut
dialogue.
down a lot of stuff. You do.
Yeah, the
So when you're
narrator.
writing, you just get it
Yeah,
in. You just got to really just make sure you get it because you've seen good movies, and it seems like it
yeah,
tells the whole story. But can you
yeah.
imagine how much more could have been added? So you really
They
got
had
to
to
be
cut it out.
precise to the point and put it in. So yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
definitely right on
that's
that one.
crazy. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. So
mhm.
I think it'd be great. I'm keeping it in mind. There's things I'm planning, and so I'm making my list of authors. Because
Yes.
yeah, because I definitely and I have a cousin who's also he's already a film producer, and he already has
Okay.
his crew and everything. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's just like they both said, both Nakia and like, because the hardest thing is raising the money for the film.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is, that's the hardest part. But
Oh
once you get
yes.
that, yeah, once you get
Yeah.
over that, so I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe if I could do a company that's like I help to raise the money for independent films, because
Yeah.
I want it when I do my movies, I want to pay all the actors fairly. Like I don't want it
Mm-hmm.
like I'm paying one actor. I understand like the leads will get more. I get
Mm-hmm.
that part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I want if it's a male and female league, they're getting paid the same. They're getting paid the
Mm-hmm.
same. I don't want it where he's
Mm-hmm.
getting paid more than she is. I think that's
Right.
unfair,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
it will cost a pretty penny, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it is. And my brother here in Philly, he's very that whole independent film space here in Philly. And he's doing a lot of
Yeah.
big things as well. And he has a film production uh company. And
Mm,
I remember, when he was shooting his films and stuff and raising the money and getting the money and depleting this and doing that. So
yeah.
yeah, it can be costly,
It's
because
costly.
you do, if you want to have a set that you want actors to come back to, if you're doing another independent film, you got to treat them right. So you need
You
to
got to
feed
treat
them.
them right.
You
You
need to
need to
feed them.
feed
You
them.
need to
You need to
pay
take
them.
care of them. And I
Don't take
listened to
care of them.
right, right.
You
I
know.
listened to what happened with Oprah and Taraji, where
Man,
yes, that hit me, and I'm like, I definitely don't want my actors feeling that way.
that's
She should have had,
insane.
yeah, just like, and then it's like that really exposed to how it really goes down. I'm like, so here I'm thinking. they're getting treated like, like queens when they're on the set, and they're not. Like some of them
Mhm.
have to like find their own housing. I was like, no, I was like, if just like any company, if a company wants you to go work in California, they put you up in housing
That's right.
while you're there until whatever
That's
the
right.
project is
That's right.
done.
That's
And I'm
right.
like, that's why is it trying to be any different?
Right.
So
That's
who's
right.
pocketing this extra money? So I was
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
y'all ain't
Yeah.
slick.
Yeah. 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 That's
Yeah. So I was
crazy.
like,
That's
treat,
crazy.
and then look what happened to the, well, I think it's more than just that. I think there's certain scenes in there that just rub people the wrong way. So
Mhm.
I didn't
Mhm.
watch it because I didn't like how Taraji was treated. But then I did see
Okay.
some snippets of it. I'm like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
not missing out anything. Some
Mhm.
things need to be left alone. The original Color
Mhm.
Purple was perfect.
Mhm.
Leave it alone.
Mhm.
I'm so
Mhm.
tired of
Mhm.
Hollywood redoing these movies. They
Mhm.
didn't need to redo
Mhm.
it. They needed to leave
Mhm.
that alone. It
Mhm.
was done
Mhm.
perfect.
Mhm. And Hollywood just recycles so many movies, and it just really angers me because you got so much talent out
So
here. But
much. That's what I was
Hollywood is a
saying.
business, and it's about
Mhm.
money making, and it's all of the red tapeness of this and that. And
Yep.
if you, I mean, if once again, it's opportunity. Viola
Yeah.
Davis said it best when she won her Oscar, and she said the difference between white actresses and black actresses are opportunities. And that's just
Yes.
pretty much the same thing for
That's it.
us people that don't know us, and those that
Mhm.
and those that are the
Yeah.
haves, if you will.
Yeah.
It's opportunity
Yes.
because
It's
we got some
opportunity.
dynamic talent. So
Yes. Yes. I agree. She's absolutely right.
yeah,
There's so much talent out there, so much, and
absolutely.
it's just they're trying to. But you know what? That's not. They did that in the publishing industry, or the publishing industry,
Yeah,
with them telling you what they're going to publish and what they're not going to publish.
yeah,
And
yeah,
because
yeah,
they say, oh well, the people don't want to read that. How do
yeah.
you know? There's so many
Right,
people on this planet. How do you
right,
know? And
right.
like, like my friend was saying, she goes, there's a like that movie Sharknado, Sharknado, whatever. There's a whole group of people who that's their thing. They freaking loved
Mm-hmm.
it. Where other
Yeah,
people are like, this
yeah.
movie's stupid, but other people
Is it?
loved it. It has a
Yeah,
following.
stupid.
So she said
Mm-hmm.
everything for every genre, every type, every book has its following. They you just gotta
Absolutely.
find them.
That's
So
right.
I love the whole, and she said Hollywood is starting to get nervous because there's so many independent films coming out now.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so and their people are loving it because not
Yeah.
they didn't know those options were available. They didn't
Yes,
know these stories
absolutely.
were available.
Absolutely.
So
And people
you were
tired of waiting on
gatekeeping.
Hollywood.
Yeah, to wake up.
Tired of
Yeah,
waiting on Hollywood to tell you what you can and cannot put out, and what they're going to finance, and what studio you can go to make it. And, okay,
yeah,
then I'll do my own thing. And one
yeah,
thing I will say about, Tyler Perry, I know he doesn't have a lot of people that like him, but he got a hell of a lot that do. He knows his
yeah.
audience, and he can
Hmm.
create his own narrative because he got the ownership to do that.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes,
And so,
yes.
you
I
know,
respect him for creating his own. He built his own
absolutely.
table. You didn't want me at
Absolutely.
your table? That's fine.
There
I'll
you
build my
go.
own table. And
There you
I
go.
respect him for that. Yes, definitely.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that's pretty much what I'm trying to do. Like, you don't want
Yes,
me at your table? I
absolutely.
don't want to be at your table. How about that? I reject
H-
your table.
How about that? There you go, girl.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't want to sit there anyway.
I don't want to sit there anyway. so, so
Absolutely.
I freaking love it. I love it. I love what we're doing. I think it's gonna
Yeah,
go far. And I
yeah.
think we go further together. We go further together. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
supporting each other.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Absolutely.
really gonna help us. So that's
Absolutely.
that's my mission. That's what I'm working
Absolutely.
on.
And I appreciate you and thank you
Oh,
once
thank you.
again for platforms like this that
Thank you.
brings exposure to people that may not have as much of it, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
kudos to you and all of those other entities that allow space for independent authors and entrepreneurs and other people to come on
Yeah.
and showcase who they are. So hand
Yeah.
clap to you and applause to you as well.
Thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
you.
You're
Well, tell
welcome.
everybody where they can buy your book.
So my book is available on Amazon, and you can get it either paperback, Kindle, or audio. I can say now, and
Yes.
so you can find it there, and with all of my other books as well, my Lady Ice series, my Broken series, and my standalone Same Old Song, which is my only urban lit book that I will claim as an urban lit book. So
Okay.
but
That's
yeah, so
good.
they can find it on, yeah, and it was pretty good
Yeah.
too. So
Okay,
but
good.
yeah, they can find it all on find them all on Amazon.com. Yes.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good. Yeah, my family background, my family's from Trinidad. So I grew up with my mom and her family. So I don't have that. Now, if I
Mm-hmm.
want to write a West Indian story, I got that. I
Hmm.
could write about a
Yeah.
Caribbean story all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's
Absolutely.
funny. But I
Absolutely.
realized that I'm like, okay, this is where I see a major difference. Like
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
about it. It's not like I
Right.
haven't, but it's just it's different. Like really your
Right.
home life, yeah. I come
Yeah.
home and
Absolutely.
yeah, things
Mm-hmm.
the West Indian mentality is it's not to say that it's so vastly different, but it's at the same time it's just they come from somewhere else.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's still it's a little bit different. So
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely.
oh my gosh, it's funny. But then we have something, a lot of things in common. Like my mom used to say, we're like for us, like when if we're crying for no reason, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. That's like
There
in
you
all
go.
culture.
Yeah. You that's across the board.
That's across
That's
the
across
board.
the board. Yeah, that's across the board. You want something to cry for?
You,
I give you something to cry
I'll
for.
give you something to cry.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
indeed.
I
We're
love
more
that.
alike than different. We really are.
Yes, yes.
We
It's just the
really are.
accent is different. That's
Yeah,
really
that's
it. Just
it.
the accent is different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I love it
Yes.
though. All right,
Yeah.
so stay in the studio and we're going to close this out. We thank everybody for showing up and watching to the end. Please check out her book, Rise of the Beast. It's amazing. You're going to love Gamba. You're going to love hate Dante. it's like I
Yes.
love to hate
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It
Absolutely.
is an amazing book. If you're like me and you're busy, get the virtual voice. It has whisper sync on this book, and it's amazing. The AI voice actually isn't that bad, so it's
Okay.
it's it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. He
Okay.
does a pretty good job, or the AI did a pretty good job. So
Okay.
I love it. I listen to it while I'm cooking, cleaning, writing, doing other stuff. Well, not writing because that's I can't focus.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
working on
That's
other
right.
projects, yeah, anything that
Yes.
doesn't have to do with me that takes too much brain energy. I'm
Yes.
listening and enjoying it, and I am
Yes.
loving it. So, like in no time, I was on chapter 14, and
Wow. Thank you.
love
Wow.
it, love it, love it. So get it.
Thank
It's
you.
good. I love the cover too. I I wish I could have showed more of the cover. Well, I'll try to see if I could put it in the description or whatever. The cover, this
Okay.
man, it only shows like from his nose down, but you can tell that man is
Yes.
sexy.
Yes. And that's actually the second cover because
That's
there
the
was a
second cover?
first. Yeah, that's a yeah. If you go on my page, the first cover is what they call it pinned. You when you
Mhm.
pin something,
Oh, okay.
and this the first cover is on there, and so trying to kind of like generate more
Find it.
interest and things like that, we changed the cover,
Yeah.
and I love this
Yes, I
cover
had
too.
to. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
to
I
change
love
my
this
covers.
cover too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Sometimes we
love
got
it.
to
I
do
love
that,
it.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. You got to do it.
Mhm.
And it helps.
Mhm.
It helps.
Yeah.
So sometimes changing the blurb too helps. Like it
Yeah.
all,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Mhm.
But I read your
Mhm.
blurb and then I'm like, let me check out the sample. Let me just read the sample. Read the sample. I was like, okay, I gotta buy this. It's gonna happen.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Because I felt like I'm not into vampire stories. I don't read it because I have a high imagination. So that's why I don't watch horror movies
Mhm.
because for me, it's my imagination is too high. So my
Okay.
brain will start
Okay.
trying to play it
Yeah.
out. I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe
Yeah.
something wrong with me. But
Oh,
like
wow.
it scares me. I'll have nightmares.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm a
Yeah.
5-year-old. So
Okay. Okay.
but this is so good. The story is
Thank
so
you.
good. And it's not
Thank you.
like it's just gore and horror. It's a well written, well told story. So,
Thank you so much.
congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I
Okay, stay in the
appreciate
studio.
you.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Let's see.